So Jan tells me that you used to do an impersonation of Oprah. Can you still do it?
Hello, everybody! That was my whole gag. I just did that during the whole episode. I was like, how's everyone doing?
Somebody gonna cue me or do I cue myself?
Cue yourself.
Okay. Hey everybody, we're back with another episode of Let's Talk Off Camera, so let's get talking. Jan Albert, today we have one of the greatest actors to grace this podcast, and I mean of our generation. He's an Oscar nominee. I think he's going to be another Oscar nominee, quite frankly, very soon. An Emmy Award winner with a 3-decade career of stunning performances with Rust in the Color Purple, Zola, Euphoria, and Fear of the Walking Dead, just to name a few. Yeah, heard of any of those projects, Albert? That's right. Actor, writer, producer, and director Colman Domingo will be joining us.
Wow.
I'm very excited. But before he logs on, let me check in with my long-suffering producers, Albert and Jan, a.k.a. Jan Albert.
Jan Albert.
We had a big recording yesterday.
Huge.
Yeah, we're back in Michael's bedroom now.
Back in Michael's-
we
back-
went on a field
Massive.
trip.
That's right. Yesterday, we could not subject the head cheese of the Disney company to being stuffed in the corner of my son's bedroom. It was unsuitable for broadcast. So we went to this
Very fancy.
very fancy schmancy.
I know.
I'd say schmancy.
Yeah.
Do you think Bob Iger was impressed? Do you think he...
I can't tell if he was impressed or if he was like, we're still in this building? Didn't we sell this building? I think the general overall atmosphere was Bob saying, why am I doing this? How did I get here again?
Did I agree to this?
Yes.
It was fun. You were so good.
It was amazing. You
He was
with
great.
him. Mark later on when I talked to him, Kelly was like a mastermind in that interview.
No. Mark came home and he goes, Albert said it went great. And I go, oh, Pollyanna Al, who
No,
thinks
come
everything
on.
went
You
great.
know it went great.
No, it did. Well, but Bob is great.
I know, but-
I did
He
not.
texted you. I told Albert he
Yeah,
texted
well, I
you.
want to hear.
4:30 in the morning.
And
Saying how great he had a great time, and he thought he seemed genuinely surprised with my interview skills.
So next week you'll be listening
Oh,
to
yeah,
the Bob
because
Iger
we're- yeah,
interview.
Bob-
we can't
our-
tease anything that he said.
No, our
we
Bob
can
Iger
tease. We can
interview
tease.
is-
It's airing next week.
It's airing next week.
I was very taken aback by when he said that he has to approve the legends every year. And when he saw your name on it, his first reaction was, why hasn't she been one sooner? I thought
that was my first one.
like,
No, but you know me, like when I got the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, it was the same, like Bob telling me that I got this thing, and I thought, same with the Legends thing, I you had to be dead to get
a
these
star.
things. Because I don't, you know me, even though I've been in show business for 35 years, I actually don't know how show business works. I think it's what's kept me sane and fairly normal all of these decades. I am not that invested in the entertainment industry. I like talking to interesting people, and so I'm fortunate to make a career of it, but I don't read The Hollywood Reporter or Variety. I don't sign up for that newsletter that everybody goes crazy about. I don't know about any of it.
right.
Well, just to tease this interview a little bit for next week, there is a point where Bob Iger turns to Kelly and says, Kelly, I am still your boss.
There was a point where he pushed back over my line of question.
He said,
I
well,
am
this.
still your boss,
He said, well,
Kelly.
this took a turn.
So definitely listen next week.
Well, because
great.
I feel that people in-house were questioning whether or not I would have the cojones, the stones, the balls, if you will, to ask a very specific question.
And you did it.
I did it because I know Bob, and I think Bob would answer honestly and practically, and he did.
Here's the thing: if he doesn't want to answer something, he's not going to answer it. Like
Right,
that guy knows how to not answer
There were
something.
many things he did not answer that we tried We tried to backdoor him into answers. We tried
Oh,
to. We climbed in through the window, trying to drag him up the.
You proclaimed a few things that he wouldn't
I
answer.
did. I proclaimed certain things that may or may not be true because I
in
just
front of him.
Yes,
It's a great interview. But wait, Albert has a surprise for Kelly.
Okay.
So we've been talking about this forever, and every time I think about it, I'm like, I never can find this Paul Rubens clip. So I finally reached out to my friend who is a producer on the show, and I got the clip yesterday, and I played it, and I need to play it, and we can use it in this thing too. Here we go.
I love this story.
I love that story as a good one if you're ever in the middle of a real story in real life. This comes in handy all the time. Tell me if you've ever been here. You're telling a story, halfway through the story, you realize this story has no ending. There's no punchline.
Yeah.
So if you're in that situation ever, all you do is you just wait a beat. You finish the story, you wait a beat, and then you say, I love that story. It works every time. It turns it into a little tip for everybody.
I mean,
you have to send that to Mark. He used it like 3 times
Paul
today.
Rubens, a genius.
3 times today, Mark. Mark said, I love that story at least 3 times today. And then Gelman backstage said to me, boy, you love an awkward silence, don't you? And I go, I do, as a matter of fact. You've never been to one of my Thanksgivings, Gelman. But I will milk awkward silences like nobody else's business. I mean, to the point where I'm like,
Well, I reached out to Chris, who is the showrunner of The Tonight Show, and I said, Chris, I know it's going to sound crazy, but Kelly, Mark, and I talk about this Paul Rubens interview from 2016, please. And then he got it for us.
and he found it.
Yeah, we needed it.
I love that story. He really was the best.
He loved you because I was
loved
telling
him.
these guys that I met him outside of a party in L.A., and I ran up to him and I told him that I worked with you and I was friends with you, and he flipped out. I love Kelly so much.
Yeah, we loved each other.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the only person that would, on my birthday, he would send me, whatever the age I was. When I turned 50, there were 50. When I was 51, there were 51. When I was 52, there were 52. But memes of people having cakes smashed in their face.
Genius.
Just one after another would come.
Genius.
All right, speaking of genius, our genius guest
Oh,
is
he's here?
ready.
He's
so
ready?
We can get started. Yeah.
Okay. There's Colman. Hi.
Hi, Kelly. Hi.
You're so gorgeous.
You're gorgeous. How are you?
I'm so happy to see you, and I
too.
appreciate you taking time for our humble podcast. Now, listen, last time I saw you, you were being honored at the Time 100.
Yeah, that's right.
So, explain to me what that feels like, the acknowledgement, being in that room with so many extraordinary people. My head was on a swivel the whole time.
You know what? Same here. You know what? Being in that room and you're watching people who are doing advancements with medicine and science and, women's rights and political things. And, you're just like the idea, even just the idea that you are possibly in the same list as them is unbelievable. Because you're like, what? You just have to really take some stock. You're like, well, I guess you can't deny it, but you're like, okay, I guess what I'm doing artistically and creatively is impacting the world in that way too.
It is.
But I just sort of bow down to anybody who's doing anything that I feel like I'm like, oh no, you're.
But I will say that the performers in the room kept the room alive because we were the only people applauding and cheering for Taraji, who was busting her ass hosting that show. Right.
We have social skills.
Right, exactly. I was like, yes, you may be finding a cure for cancer, but you're not laughing at any of the good jokes.
But you're dead in the room.
You're a dead audience, I'll tell you that much.
This is where we shine, Kelly.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Do you know what was really great about that night? So Mark and I used to live in that building where the event was held in the Time Warner Center. And so the kids all used to come trick-or-treating in the Time Warner Center. Jan, you remember.
Yeah.
So how good are the treats in
Wait
the
a minute. Wait, what was that like?
Okay.
I mean, trick-or-treating at the time.
So
was.
I'm gonna tell you. Okay. So it's unlike
I better get some good-ass candy if I'm coming there.
forget candy. Like the CEO of Parker Brothers was in one of the penthouses. So you would go up, bing bong, you ring the doorbell, and they open the door, and on the dining room table are just board games. And so the kids are like walking out with a board game.
What? That's wild.
Or like the head of Mars candy. So I'm not talking large size candy. I'm not talking full size movie theater size. I'm talking like gigantic, right? It's like the greatest.
Like the size of a head.
The size of a head.
I feel like I'm going to put on a costume and come to that building.
It's the best building to trick or treat.
Just to see what the fuck it was like. 'Cause I feel like I missed out.
It's insane. It's really, it's insane because trick or treating in New York is wild, but trick or treating in the Time Warner Center is wild. And I kept saying to the kids, you will never have another Halloween like this. So live it up, because this will be the greatest Halloween of your life. So Lenny Kravitz wrote your Time 100 tribute.
He did.
Which, Anderson Cooper wrote mine, and I thought mine was the coolest ever. And then I was like, oh, wait, Lenny Kravitz. Now that's
cool.
That's
cool.
actually cooler than mine. Have you known Lenny a long time?
I've known Lenny for, I guess, 12 or 13 years. We did The Butler with Lee Daniels together.
Oh, right.
And we didn't even have many scenes together, but we were shooting down in New Orleans, and we became just buddies. We were just hanging out everywhere, and anyone will tell you that for some reason New Orleans brings out the bro in me, and I'm taking people to strip clubs, and I don't know what happens to me. It comes over me. It's like a whole different me in New Orleans. So I was, constantly trying to get Lenny out to do crazy and wild things, but he was a good boy most of the time. But then we would just go and chill out, and we just got to know each other as castmates and friends. And then I'll tell you this, because this is actually pretty funny to me, so I got to know him just as, my castmate, my buddy. And then I go back to New York when I used to live in New York, and Lenny was in town. He said, hey, I want to take you out for sushi for your birthday. I was like, great, wonderful. I'll be downstairs. I thought, I don't know what I thought. Like, he was going to pick me up from my rent stabilized apartment, and we were going to go get the A train or something. That's what I
Right.
thought, I guess. He comes by and picks me up. And of course he has like security detail and SUV. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I forgot that my friend is a fucking rock star legend.
Rockstar. Yeah. Yep.
I was like, oh, like it dawned on me. I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot. Since we were out in real world again.
Yeah.
So so we've been friends. So we've really been friends and brothers for that long. I'm so very close. We really are family. I was at his 60th birthday celebration in Paris recently, and went by his home in Paris. And he's a good soul. He really
I
is.
walked by his home in Paris.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Oh.
didn't ring the doorbell or anything. I just walked by like a fan. I walked by, and people were like, this is where Lenny Kravitz, Lenny Kravitz, he lives here. And it's like such a beautiful, I mean, he really
it looks like an embassy.
he
Yeah,
knows
exactly.
architecture. He really,
He has such incredible style. And the beautiful thing is I'll just tell you this, and I'm sure it's been photographed, but like in his home, he has such great statements about family and legacy. So that's what's important. Like in his dining room, the thing that I was so taken with was he has this huge portrait of his grandfather, and say this is all because of him.
Wow.
And this very humble man who sent his mother to New York to study acting, who was, he just had many jobs and really worked with his hands, and he did all of this he says, so this, I understand why I'm here. And so I make sure that I acknowledge that. So that tells you right there who Lenny is. And so when he wrote that tribute for me, like I didn't know you didn't know who was going to write yours, right? Suddenly it's like
they
Christmas
don't
Day.
tell you. They don't tell
You're
you.
like, I don't know. It's gonna
Right.
be like hopefully somebody who likes me. Who's
Right. Exactly. Exactly. In this industry, you never know.
Because you never know. Somebody said, "Oh yeah, I'll write it." That motherfucker owes me $20.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
1984.
Right.
Exactly. Right.
Exactly.
But he wrote. I was so. I want to know how you felt, because I was so overwhelmed by that. It was just many levels to it. You're going to be one of the Time 100, and then suddenly you're gifted with these beautiful words from somebody
that you'll have
admire.
forever. Like that's a forever, and Lenny, like Anderson, beautiful writers, wordsmiths,
Yeah.
both of them.
Truly.
And so I feel that we got the luckiest.
I think we kind of did too.
Yeah.
I think we really did.
So, okay, you and Lenny Kravitz hang out together. I also understand that you've been in Oprah's home.
I have. I've been in 2 of her homes. Yeah.
Tell me which 2 and describe.
Lemons everywhere.
Yeah.
Because I know you love architecture.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've been to the home in Montecito.
Oh,
I went there
that's the premier home.
It's called the Promised Land, and it's really. I'll tell you this about Oprah. It's about both of her homes, the one in Hawaii as well.
Oh my God.
There's nothing ostentatious about her homes. They all feel comfortable and livable. Just beautiful. Like, she's got impeccable taste, but it doesn't feel like, oh, look at this person who has billions of dollars. You're like, oh, this is very tasteful and elegant and like necessary.
Yeah.
That's what I say. I feel like light, warm. It always makes you you feel like you want to stay there forever. Like, like if she did want me to stay there forever, I'm like, yeah, I'm moving in.
Yes,
All fine.
that's the
Fine
goal.
with
The
me.
goal
That's the
is
goal.
to be Oprah's roommate.
I know. You don't know that that's a life goal until you're that close and in her home, and you're like, I can do this.
Wow.
Yeah, she's
Right?
she's got it figured out. Like, she's living on another plane of elegance that I strive for that, but I realize she had it at my age, so I'm not going to get there. Like, I've reached peak elegance for me. This is the best I can hope for. This is all there is. My fold-out card table from Amazon, and this is pretty much what I got going on.
What food is Oprah serving?
Yeah. Oh, what food does Oprah serve when you come to stay with her?
Okay, there's a couple things. I got to tell you this. Okay, when I went there it was Ava DuVernay's 50th birthday party.
Oh my gosh.
And Oprah hosted, I want to say maybe 50 of her friends.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we flew out there, and it was beautiful. And you go to Oprah's pretty much mountain. She pretty much owns a mountain.
The mountain,
pretty much,
right.
in Maui. And it's really, I'm telling you, it's lush and beautiful and elegant. And she had, for the birthday party, I think there were 2 chefs. And, really comfort food. I mean, the morning, we all kept marveling that there was truffles everywhere.
Oh.
She loves truffles.
She loves truffles. I know
She
that.
loves truffles.
Yes.
She loves truffles. And but let's see, fried chicken and things like that. It was all like comfort food. You
Yeah.
could tell like things that are like from her southern roots,
Right.
but also very elegant. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the thing that I think we all love is that she loves a beautiful sip of tequila.
Yes,
Yes.
I do know that.
Yes.
I
You know
sent
that,
her a
exactly.
basket of tequila for her birthday. Do you remember that,
Yes.
Jan? At the time, Mark was super into tequila, so we were
Mm-hmm.
like tequila connoisseurs in this house. So I sent her a basket of his favorites and then a basket of limes. She liked that.
You know what the best thing is that when she because she's very much a host.
Yeah.
So we're all hanging out by the pool and laughing and talking, and then suddenly Oprah comes out with a tray full of shots, and you're like, you're naughty. You're trying to get everybody like
Loose.
to have a good time.
Yes,
Loose,
she wants
exactly.
everybody loosened up. Now, do you bring Oprah a hostess gift? And if so, what is the hostess gift?
I did, and you know what I did bring?
What?
I decided to bring a book because she has a library, and I think most of the bedrooms that when guests are staying in guest houses, there's always a library. And apparently the books get sort of swapped out based on the guest, like hoping that the guests may like the idea that someone's being thoughtful about, maybe they'll like to read these books when they have a moment. So I bought a book to go into a library. I actually bought, I hope it doesn't sound too weird, but I actually bought, since I'm a playwright, I bought a couple of my plays for her.
Oh, that's incredible. That's an incredible gift. I'm sure
It's
she loves
just to
that.
add to your library. Yeah. So that's
That's a
because you
thoughtful
think,
gift.
what am I going to bring her that she can get anything
Right.
she wants? But I thought something personal.
Right.
What would you bring over?
So
besides
so it's
tequila?
funny. I was thinking about that. I think I would bring her one of those fluffy-footed chickens because I'm assuming she has like a chicken coop, and those fancy chickens with the fluffy feet.
Wait, I love that you thought about this. You're like, that's exactly my
Yeah, like
hostess gift.
I would be like, here is a chicken for the coop, like a fluffy-footed. This chicken lays blue eggs or something, something.
To later be fried chicken.
Something not to fry. This chicken is not for frying. This chicken is for
Chicken's not for frying.
laying blue eggs. You know what I mean? The fluff. You know what I'm talking about. The
I
fluff-
know exactly
Pull
what
up,
you're
pull
talking
up an image so that Coleman doesn't think I'm insane.
A fluffy chicken. Okay.
So,
cool.
so Jan tells me that you used to do an impersonation of Oprah. Can you still do it?
I do. Jan, you know this?
I do know
Oh
this.
my God.
Jan knows
Jan.
everything.
Does Oprah know you do it?
You know, the thing is, I'm not sure. I think Lee Daniels stumbled upon that episode because I used to be on the Big Gay Sketch Show. And we did all these parodies. Me and Kate McKinnon and Nicole Payon. We did all these sketches, and they were like, "You cannot air these sketches anymore."
Right?
Because,
No,
of
no,
course,
we can't air anything anymore.
They are buried now
Yes.
because it was like I played, but also I played everyone from Tyra Banks, Beyonce, Nick Cannon. Kelly Ripa. No, I didn't play Kelly Ripa.
I would love to see you play me. That would be the biggest thrill of my life. That way, I wouldn't have to wax off my facial hair. Finally,
But then I played Oprah, and I played Oprah and Gail. It was just silly. Me and Erica Ash were sort of doing Oprah's road trips, and I played Oprah. And I go, "Hello, everybody!" But that was my whole gag. I just did that during the whole episode. I was like, "How's everyone doing?"
but that is what their road trips were like.
Yes, exactly. And she's always yelling at Gail to stop singing. They're doing lots of food stops, and it was just insane. It was just pretty insane. But also, it's like I'm wearing Oprah's hosting outfit. It's really silly, actually.
Tell me these fluffy chickens aren't the cutest things you've ever seen.
Kelly, if I saw you giving that to Oprah, I think I would just expire.
Tell me these are not regal chickens. These are
Coleman's showing up with his plays, and you show up with these two chickens.
yeah, sure. Coleman wrote a great play. Okay, we know he can write, but look at these chickens.
Kelly, this chicken-
Can Coleman's play lay an egg? I don't think so.
Oh my God! They are very fluffy. I don't know what I expected with that chick.
I
that
told
just
you
sat
they're
there.
very fluffy, and their eggs are blue. They're like bright blue eggs.
Where do you purchase one of these?
Albert, where did you?
I found it on Grubby Farms.
Grubbyfarms.com. Shout out to Grubby Farms.
Grubbly.
Not-
Amazon one of
Grubbly
those?
Farms.
How about Amazon one of those?
Probably. You could probably Amazon
buy
it.
one on Amazon.
I mean, you could probably buy anything on Amazon. Is it true, Jan also tells me, that your mom used to write letters to Oprah?
Jan has all the tea. I love
Jan used
Did
to
a
be in
lot
the
of research.
CIA.
I think Jan's in my closet right now trying to find out more information.
Yes.
Jan, I did. My mother used to write to Oprah. She wrote to Oprah at least 6 times because I remember I was like, "Mom, why are you writing Oprah again?" She said,
What did she
"Well,
write
Oprah
to
helps."
her?
She would write. She said because I was a struggling artist and she believed in me. And she would, and every so often, especially if I was down and I was bitching about auditions or not getting things, and she said, "Well, you know what? I wrote to Oprah." I was like, "Why?" Well, because Oprah helps people. I was like, "And what does that mean?" Well, she can help you. She gets you on the show and she knows how fantastic you are. She can help. And I was, bitter, disgruntled. "No, Mom, what are you talking? Get out of here. Oh, there's no way, shape, or form I'm going to get on that show." And Oprah does not care. And then the wildest thing is in my life, how I've gotten to know Oprah. And I was out in Maui and we were going for a hike. So now this is like my mother has been passed since 2006.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
this was thank you. And this was a couple of years ago. And we're walking and we're just having this beautiful hike. And suddenly I was like, "Oh my God, I have to tell you something. My mother wrote to you over and over again. And I think I realized that her letters got to you." And we both stood there. She stood there and clutched her chest. And she didn't even say anything. Just took my hand and we just continued to walk. And now to even make it even more surreal, I wrote this play called Wild with Happy, right? It's actually now out on Audible right now, you guys. Wild with Happy. And in the play, it's about a guy who loses his mother and he's grieving, but it's a dark comedy. And at some point, the mother, I recall this conversation of Mom writing to Oprah. So I'm casting this for Audible. And I thought, has anybody offered Oprah anything as an actress in a while? So I decided to offer her to play the role of the mother, and she accepted. And so Oprah literally says, "Do you want me to write Oprah?" So I directed Oprah in this, and so it's very meta in many ways.
It is so meta. And it's like your mom put this all into action long ago. Like I don't believe in
believe it.
accidents. I believe it's all
Neither.
like a divine thing happening.
Kelly,
We're
I
all
do too.
Yeah.
I do too. How we're supposed to. I think. Listen, I think I'm not a religious person, but I'm very spiritual, and I do believe in magic, and I believe in energy. And I believe that whatever energy, magic, whatever people want to call it, I'm like, it was already set. That the dreams, the intentions of my mother that she had on me more than what I could see. And then maybe I started to believe that. But also I look at the things and the people that I've been working with and the rooms that I'm in. I couldn't see that far ahead. I don't know about you. I feel like I could say I just wanted to be a working artist and I wanted to do work that was respected.
Right.
I could not imagine, like I didn't have dreams of thinking, oh, I want to be on Broadway or like a television show and film. I didn't know that.
I
What
don't
about
know.
you?
No, I'm the same. My dad was a bus driver. We're not like there was no show business. We didn't know show
Right.
business people. So it was like, you know, it's one of those crazy. I'm like you. Did not ever think that I would get to interview people such as you. It's not. It was something so far outside of the scope of what my mind could dream, because
Yeah.
you're just trying, when you start out, you're just trying to, you know, I was just trying to get a job on a soap opera and keep it
Yeah.
for as long as I possibly could. I didn't think it would lead
Absolutely.
anywhere or that it would
Right.
take me someplace.
I agree. It's the same here. I just thought, if I get a good gig, I do well, I save some money. My goal was to get, and I did eventually get one, was to get a rent stabilized apartment in Manhattan. And I got
Yeah.
that, and I was cool. I'm like, great. I can create art. I can do it. I can go for a meal every so often. That was fine.
Right.
And then things keep going. I tell you, like, looking at the blessings that you're gifted in this life because of showing up and doing the work, and then suddenly you're like, wow. I mean, I feel like I don't want to not be in awe of like, wow, I live here. I do that. I'm able to do these things. And I don't want to take it for granted or be callous about it,
Yeah, it's interesting. We interviewed Bob Iger yesterday, and he had this a very like you. He said in all the years, because he's been with the company for 50 years, he's been the CEO for what, Jan, 20 years? 20 years? Yeah, something like that. And he said he's still in awe of everything, of all of it, because he didn't grow up fancy.
No.
He never dreamed of even going to Disneyland or Disney World as a kid. It was just like out of the realm of possibilities. And the fact that he's been with this company for so long, but he's not jaded in any way. Like he still is in awe of all of it all the time. And I think that's like a really unique skill set to keep when you're in like a quote unquote fancy business or you're around fancy people.
I think so. You're so right. I think the more that I get to know sort of these people in these beautiful positions like Oprah, I actually, when I tell you the thing that I know for sure is what got her there, she's extremely generous and extremely kind and thoughtful. And that's the thing. And I know she's very humble too. And I think I always want to make sure people don't forget that these people come from very humble places and they work their asses off to attain any and all of it. It's not, there's nothing that was given. There's not privilege on Oprah or someone like Bob Iger as well. They've earned it.
It's funny. People get confused. They look at the person now and they don't realize there's an entire background of grinding and working and rejection and in Oprah's case, all kinds of bullshit that she had to deal with. Sexism, racism, poverty.
Exactly.
I mean, you name it, they threw it at Oprah.
Yeah.
And now everyone acts like somehow she was handed a mountain in Maui. Not that she built.
It's as if people have like their own sort of dementia when it comes to that. Like they're like, oh no, we're going to forget that any of that existed and just look at this person who has so much now. And suddenly they become villainized.
I don't know if you remember, she did a very special episode of her show where she took on, viewers were complaining that Oprah had lost weight and that she had changed. And she had these people that wrote these letters in the audience. She invited them in and it was such an interesting episode. I remember I was riveted and she said, what is it about me that has changed? And they couldn't name it. They couldn't actually name it. It was their perception.
It was them.
It was them.
Well, that's
right.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, please, Kelly, I get this, and I'm sure you've gotten this too, where because of whatever career successes I have, I will run into someone who says, "Hi, do you remember me? So I'm like, do I remember you? Yeah, Janice. What are you talking
You're my
about?
neighbor.
Yeah, we.
You're my
yeah,
neighbor.
exactly.
You mean
Why are
from
you
this
acting
morning?
strange? Exactly. Why are you acting strange? Like I don't know you. What are you talking about? So then you feel like, oh, it's not me, it's them.
Right. It's not me.
Right.
I'm not acting weird. You're being weird. Don't be weird.
Right. I just saw you this morning, Janice.
So I want to talk to you about Sing Sing. So I want to talk to you about Sing Sing, your new movie,
Yeah.
which I think I speak for all of us here. You're going to get another Academy Award nomination. Hopefully you win this time because my money was on you. We have an office pool at work.
Oh, great.
And I thought
Really?
you were going to win this year. So
You did. Backstage, you
yeah,
thought he was going to
I called it backstage. I called it on the red carpet. When people were like, "Who are you predicting?" I was like, "Colman Domingo and Rustin is winning the Academy Award." So you owe me $20.
Basically, that's the whole ruse of this whole podcast.
That's exactly
Get
why.
my money back.
You're like, I need my money back.
So this movie, I know about this organization very well.
Yeah.
Two friends of mine are fundraisers
Wow.
for the project, the
RTA.
RTA. So tell me about how you came to learn of it, developing this person that you played, Divine G. Tell me everything.
I'll say it's kind of divine because my agent and my publicist both kept telling me about these two guys, Clint Bentley and Greg Creed, are like, oh, we feel like you should get to know them at some point. They did this movie Jockey that was out, some years ago, and they're just really good guys, and we just think you guys would work well together. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll set that up at some point. And then I ran into them at Film Independent, and they were like, oh, they were really just lovely, like really lovely people. Like almost feel like that they almost didn't belong in this business. You're like, oh, you're just two sweet,
Yeah.
regular dudes from Austin.
Right.
Okay, nice. And then they reached out because they wanted to meet with me and talk about something they've been trying to figure out for years. They've been teaching artists at Sing Sing and for the Rehabilitation Through the Arts program for like 6 years. And they were so affected by the stories of these men who are using theater to do healing work and, put themselves in some other's shoes. So it's been a real great therapeutic tool. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I said, so can you send me a script? They were like, no, we don't have a script. We actually, whatever we wrote, we don't think it's useful, but we want to see if you'd like to come on board and we can help create something together. I said, okay, well, do you have anything? They said, we have an article from Esquire magazine that was written a few years ago about the program. So I read that, fascinated again. I said, great, let's, I was loosely like, yeah, let's see, let's get on Zoom and talk about these things. And then they said, it'd be interesting. We would love for you to meet Clarence Divine I. Macklin, who is someone who's got a great story. And I think he'd be great to play off of. I was like, great, let's set it up. So we set that up on Zoom. We engage, we become fast friends and really sort of like, just I don't know, we just really, really vibed. So this goes on for maybe 6 weeks. Then they said, okay, so when do you think we could do something like this? I said, well, that's a whole other story because I'm busy. I'm out down here doing Color Purple right now, and then I go back to do pickups for Rustin. I just finished Rustin, so I was looking forward to taking a break.
Right.
And they said, wow, we really think this is something that we think we can get it done this year if you have any time. And really, when you meet these creatives, there's something so honest and pure about them. The whole time my agents and managers were thinking like, really? What is this? And what are you going to do? I said, I just have a feeling about it. And I said, well, listen, I have 18 days in between both projects. And Greg said, we'll take them. I said, wait, what? You can't do this film in 18 days. And it's in COVID. Right. And I was like, this is crazy. And I literally looked at Clarence Divine I. Macklin's eyes and his smile. He's got this big toothy smile. And he said, come on, Colman, come on, we can do it. And I was like, okay, you're right. We can do it. So I just wanted to go with that energy. And so we started to build this film very organically. They even said, we would like to cast a lot of the guys who went through this Rehabilitation Through the Arts program, formerly incarcerated men, to play your co-stars. Right. I was on with that. I said, that's awesome too. So everything about it, I was like, let's do it this way and make sure that everyone feels good and participates. And I was like, so that's why it felt like something, how can I say, it felt like way more purposeful. You're like, oh, we're going to change the way things are created. So I got behind that. We did it in 18 days without any COVID problems.
It's like a
Knocked
miracle.
it out.
A miracle.
Yeah, it was a miracle. But I tell you, there's something beautiful around it.
The story, is too important to not be told. So maybe that's why the universe was working in your favor, because I think the program itself is so successful. I mean, the recidivism rate for
Less than 3%.
less than 3%. And what is the normal recidivism?
60%
Right.
nationwide.
Right. So it's really, you have to understand, it is doing the work that people inside the prisons, they have, prisons are big business. And so
Yeah.
you've got like these prison consultants and
Yeah.
psychotherapists and psychoanalysts. And
It's a whole business.
it's a whole
Exactly.
business. And they could not figure it out. They couldn't figure it out.
No, they couldn't. But what's awesome is like this gift has come into these institutions of art. And these guys are hanging on to it and protecting it and really holding each other accountable with it so that they actually they're doing the work.
Right.
And that's the most beautiful thing. They're like, oh, no, the system's not going to work for us. We have to do it for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So the film that we've built is not a prison drama at all. And I think that's what we've always been fed.
Yeah.
It is actually just, the prison is the container for the story, but it really is just about human beings.
The human
trying to-
experience, redemption.
Yeah, redemption, hanging on to hope, finding brotherhood.
Understanding Shakespeare. Finally, a movie makes me understand Shakespeare.
Exactly. This is the one for you.
It's
Exactly.
literally, I said, if you have difficulty understanding Shakespeare, you watch this movie. And then I'm like, wait, that's what it means?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
finally, I
Yeah.
understood it.
Yeah.
In the film, one of the acting exercises is
Mm-hmm.
the inmates have to think back to the most perfect
Perfect
time,
place.
most perfect
Yeah.
place. What is yours in real life?
Well, the funny thing is we all sort of had to find it in a sort of devised improv based on our characters and then also connecting with something personal. And so, since my character did grow up, in New York, and I thought, well, this is a memory that possibly he would have had too. And mine was about water ice, the water ice truck
Yeah.
coming down the street, because I'm from Philly. And who doesn't like summertime and the idea of running outside when it's hot and you hear that bell and you ask your mom or dad for, 25 cents to go and get one, and you line up. And for somebody that is like one of the happiest places, like those hot Philly
Yeah.
summer afternoons and running outside, and suddenly you're getting this cool, beautiful water ice, probably Maroney's or something.
Yeah.
And
course.
and it's just, and then your tongue is red for the rest of the night. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Or blue.
I just took my niece. I took my niece to University of Minnesota for her freshman orientation, and we're from South Jersey, like right over the bridge from Philly.
Yeah.
Philly was like our backyard. We would look at the
Right.
lights of Philly, and that was our New York City growing up.
Yeah, exactly. You went into the city.
Right.
That was
that
Philly.
was the
Yeah.
city. And she goes, "Do you know the people here don't know what water ice is?" And I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "They've never heard of water ice. They don't have
Yeah.
it here." And she's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"They don't have it here." And I go, "They're not going to have a lot of things here. It's going to be all kinds of things that they don't have here that you're used to."
That is too cute.
But that's a great memory.
What is yours? What is your memory?
I think it would probably be there was this place in Camden called Nardi's Deli, and when we would go, we would get hoagies there before we would go see my grandparents.
Oh my God, you said hoagie.
Yeah, we would go see the
Ah!
hoagies. We'd get the
Yes.
hoagies, but when you opened the door, the bell rang and it had a smell. It had a smell of like, you know the smell. It's like pickles in the barrel. The
Amoroso's rolls.
Yes, right. Those rolls were right there. All the cold cuts were laid out in front of you. It just had a very specific smell. And I think that's probably like a very, like it can suck me right back home at any time and place. And then like, I don't know if you did, we never went on vacation.
No, there was no
There's no
vacation. We're from
vacation,
no.
right. So-
no.
so-
Other people did that.
Right. So we would watch The Price is Right. when school was out. Like that was our big thing with The Price is Right. But at the end, my dad would have like 2 days off. He was a bus driver. So he would have 2 days off, and we would drive down to the Jersey Shore with my dad cursing the entire time. And we would go to Sea Isle City in this apartment over a garage. And we spent these 2 days at the Jersey Shore. And there was a place called Mac and Mango Pizza. And we would get Mac and Mango Pizza. We would get a Bob's Lemonade. And we would get saltwater taffy from
The Fudge King.
The Fudge King, yeah. And we... Like it, you would think that we were going to Paris for 6 months. The pageantry around it,
Going down the shore.
was like a rite of passage, and
Yeah.
it was the greatest. It was just the greatest thing.
When I was a teenager, my neighbors, they had a house in Cape May.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the first time I would go down there
Oh.
with their family, with the Story family. And we go down to Cape May, and we were literally the only black family there, basically.
Yeah.
But it was just incredible. But the thing that I remember so well was picking mussels off of the rocks and taking them back in a big old bowl and like cooking the fresh mussels.
Yeah,
That was
incredible.
like the best thing.
People don't even understand how great the Jersey Shore is.
What about pork
It's,
rolls?
it's pretty great.
Pork roll, yeah, Taylor pork roll. Oh my gosh, forget it.
It also can be a place that smells like vomit. Like when
Well,
you
yeah. I mean, especially look.
Especially Wildwood.
I was just going to say it. I was like, no disrespect to Wildwood, but Wildwood is like a whole other.
Exactly.
So, are you playing Joe Jackson?
I am. I'm playing Joe Jackson. I am.
So, have you started shooting that?
We finished it and everything. It's in its edit right now.
Have you met any of the Jacksons?
I've met a lot of the Jacksons. I met
Which one?
Prince Jackson, Michael's son, is one of the producers, so he was on set every day. And also, I met Marlon Jackson. I believe Katherine Jackson has been to set. I didn't get the chance to meet her. But a lot of people who were even around the Jackson family, who worked for the Jacksons, they were around a lot, which is great. So it really is, we have the family's blessing, and they sort of didn't get in the way of whatever story we're telling. And I think I want to tell you, the big discovery is going to be Jafar Jackson, who is Jermaine Jackson's son. And when I tell you he's the spitting image of Michael, he sounds like him. It's like, it feels like a spiritual connection, because it's like anytime you're listening to him speak, he speaks in that sort of softness that Michael spoke with. And he's just a lovely, lovely human and an incredible performer. Incredible.
I'm so excited about this, by the way. Jafar Jackson. I always thought Jermaine Jackson's kids had the best names.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Your Majesty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was like, why
Everything
did
with a
my
J.
parents not name me Your Majesty?
Exactly. Your Majesty Ripa. I think.
I mean,
that's a
it
lot of
rolls
mouth.
off the tongue. So did you love the Jackson 5? Did you love Michael Jackson?
Oh, who didn't? I was die hard. Absolutely. I mean, I remember the Victory Tour in particular.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because that album, it suddenly they were on space. I still remember that whole album cover and the way they were dressed, and it was sexy, and suddenly they weren't kids anymore. They're grown men, and they're like hot, and they're like, just performing their asses off. Oh yeah, I love them. Love them.
I remember trying to win tickets on the radio station. We couldn't afford tickets. So my sister and I would sit by the phone, and every time they were giving away tickets.
Power 99 FM.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, my same.
We would sit there and just like dial.
And keep dialing.
I mean, it was
Exactly.
and keep dialing and keep dialing. It was so
Isn't that some
my
wild
gosh.
shit? The fact we used to keep dialing, and we kept dialing, but we didn't have a push button. We had
No, we were dialing. So we were at a disadvantage. We were disadvantaged kids. So the last 4 digits was 1771. So yeah, the 1 is great, but you had to get through the 7,
Oh,
7,
no.
1.
Do you
Yeah.
remember when phone numbers were always like GR2 or?
Of course.
Yeah.
Very quickly, while we're on the Jacksons, do you feel
Yeah.
the way I feel that Rebe Jackson is the unsung Jackson?
I completely feel that way because
Thank
she
you.
dropped Centipede on
Thank
us
you.
and then went away.
Thank you.
She was like, mic drop, Centipede. How about
Right.
that, bitches? And
She's
then she
like,
left.
mic drop, and I'm leaving the business.
She said, "Fuck everybody. I can sing my ass off. Goodbye."
Okay,
I still don't know what the song "Centipede" is about, though.
Nobody
What is
does,
it about?
and nobody can. And if you watch the video, it is even more
That
perplexing.
video is crazy, though. It's crazy town.
My prom dress is an exact replica of Rebe Jackson's red dress in
And
Centipede.
Centipede. That video is. I've watched it maybe about 6 months ago, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
No. We watch it 3 times a week at work. There's my prom dress.
That beat, it's so fucking hot.
Here comes tigers, tarantulas.
What does any of this mean? Beat is hot.
No, it doesn't. It has no meaning. Yeah, it doesn't. It has no
When the
meaning.
centipede is crawling, you'll be crying through the night, so many tears, and it's crawling like a centipede. What the fuck does that mean?
Centipede.
What does any of that mean?
Who cares? Who cares?
Coleman,
The greatest. Please. There was a day on our show, on the talk show, on live TV that I can't remember the subject. It was like we were talking about Michael Jackson for whatever reason. Regis was still alive and Regis was still on the show. So I'm talking 20 years ago. And I said to him, the greatest Jackson song ever written was Rebe Jackson's Centipede. And he was like, what are you talking about? There was no Google. But I was like, it's an amazing song. I have to go home to South Jersey to find my old Maxi album, Maxi single.
The saddest thing is that no one ever knows a LaToya song. Do you know a LaToya song, though?
No, I don't know a LaToya song.
I don't think LaToya had any hits, but she did wear good headbands. That's what she's giving us. Yeah.
So tell me the story about how you met your husband, because Jan sort of gave me like the backstory, but it doesn't sound real. So tell me the story about how you met your husband, because it doesn't sound real.
You know, because it doesn't feel real, to be honest. Listen,
Tell me.
First of all, we're celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary in 2 days. And
Amazing.
Thank you. But we met almost 20 years ago. Next year will be 20 years. We literally met in the stone ages of technology, and I say that because I was really minding my business. One night I lived in New York, but I went to Berkeley Rep to do a show. So on Sunday night, I decided to go to Walgreens to get a mask. I wanted to get like a Queen Helene mask to like get my pores together. So
Right.
I go in there, and walking out of Walgreens was this beautiful, beautiful man with hair down past his shoulders and a lip piercing. And I was like, what? And he had the greenest eyes. I don't know. He just looked like something out of a fairy tale. And we just locked eyes. And I was just awestruck by it. So then I came back outside. I didn't even go inside. I came back out. And I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. He's with this girl. And this girl seems to be pissed off about something. But he keeps looking over at me. And I was on the phone with somebody who was just gabbing away. I said, okay, listen, I need to go. I want to talk to this guy. And I finally hang up. By the time I hang up, he and this girl there, she's dragging him down the street, down Shattuck Avenue in Berkeley. And he keeps looking back at me. And I raise my hand and say, come back. He doesn't come back. And so I was like, so then I'm going to tell you the full story. I was so kind of dazed about all of this. I go back outside and I think, will he come back? And I thought, well, maybe he felt the same way. And I'm a romantic. And maybe he'll meet me back here next Sunday at 8 o'clock if he felt the same way. So I put that away. 3 days later, I'm trying to buy a used computer on Craigslist because I got a grant to help out with my writing. You know, I was a struggling artist. I was on Craigslist for like a good hour. And then I was just staring at the home screen. And I remember reading all those Craigslist misconnections. And I thought, well, what if I wrote one of those?
Oh my gosh.
So I started just reading them. And then I get to the second page, third from the top, and I see it says, saw you outside of Walgreens, Berkeley. I literally jumped the fuck up. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. That's me. I click on it. I almost clicked on it like I was scared. Like I clicked it. And he described me and my faux hawk, because it was 20 years ago when I had a faux hawk. And he described me to a T and said, I'm sorry, we were lost and my friend was rushing off. I hope this finds you. Apparently he posted that just an hour before. He tried to post it 3 times before, but it didn't go up until like an hour before. I reach out to him by email. We agreed to meet up 2 days later in San Francisco at this bar named Dalva, called Dalva. I go in there. We have a beautiful night. I'm trying to be a good boy. He wants me to go home with him. I'm like, no. I'm trying to,
Make him earn it a little bit more.
or I'm trying not to be a whore. Yes, exactly.
Yes, I got it. I'm with you. I understand.
You understand. So I was like, I'm trying to practice some good behavior. So I was like, well, how about this? I'll go home with you, but let's just cuddle tonight. Because something about him I really liked. I just really liked him. And so we're laying there and I couldn't sleep. It's about 4 a.m. And I just say this quietly. I didn't think he was awake or anything. I just said, I think I love you and you're about to change my life.
Oh my God.
And he heard me, but he didn't say anything. And so we've been together ever since. Like when I tell you,
God.
and then get this. Here's the coda to the story. There's a coda. We believe we were supposed to meet 2 years before because we started to find out. I was like, oh, my agent is in the building on Geary Street in San Francisco. Oh, really? I used to work on Geary Street. I used to work for Gucci. I was a tailor at that same building. I was like, really? Oh, yeah. What floor was it on? I said, my agent was on the 6th floor. He's like, oh, my God, I worked on the 5th floor. And then we both remembered this one moment because it was one of those old buildings that had one of them old-timey elevators.
Elevators that you pull yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was a packed elevator and I was going up to my agent's office and this guy comes in with bolts of fabrics and big bags. And he was really kind of interesting and beautiful. And he comes in real quickly and then turns around with his back towards me. And I thought, oh, wow, who's this? And then he gets off on that floor, on the 5th floor. And I thought there was something energetically with him. And then I get up there. He remembered that. He said, I remember getting on the elevator and I thought there was a guy. I didn't look back, but I thought he was so beautiful.
Oh my God. And so when did you get married? 10 years ago, you said?
Yeah, so we became domestic partners first. 6 months later, he got down on his knee and proposed to me in our living room of my illegal sublet in Harlem and asked me to be his partner. And so we went to City Hall and became domestic partners back when you couldn't get married. And then we were together. And then 10 years ago, we decided, actually the most beautiful thing is I wanted to make change the day of my mother's passing and make it something very special. So the day of my mother's passing is the same day as our wedding anniversary.
Oh. So it's a happy occasion.
Then it's a happy occasion.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and we did it. We got married in our rent stabilized apartment in Manhattan at Manhattan Plaza. We didn't tell anybody it was our wedding. We had a cake from Whole Foods. We had fried chicken from Blue Ribbon Fried Chicken. We had
my gosh.
all the red flowers from Trader Joe's. And we said on a Friday afternoon before a lot of our friends went to half-hour call in the theater, we had people over and just say, hey, welcome to our wedding. They were like, when is it? We're like, now. So we surprised everybody with our wedding.
That's amazing.
And then we hung out. People went to the shows, came back. We partied till like 4 a.m. It was just the most beautiful thing. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't crazy. My husband doesn't like a fuss. He doesn't want to put people out. So he's like, let's just surprise people. And if they can be there, they can be there. If they want to celebrate us another time, they can do that.
It's incredible. And did you feel different having the wedding versus the domestic partnership? Did something feel different?
I did. Something felt different. And I think I felt like, oh, I really belong to someone and they belong to me. And we have a commitment that we're building our lives together. I look out for that person's well-being. Something changed, and we've been together for a long time, but something really changed where you're saying, oh, I have a husband now.
Very, very special. Colman, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. I love you. I adore you. We're determined to have a family rooftop dinner.
Done and done. That sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And listeners, don't forget to check out Colman's movie, Sing Sing. It is fantastic. You're going to win an Academy Award. I'm going to win $20. It's very exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sure, honey.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Woo! Oh, that was great.
We did it.
That was special. We did it! Well, look, guys, what more do you want from me? Bob Iger, Colman Domingo. I mean, what more? I'm just one woman.
These are great.
Don't forget to listen and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Jan, how many stars?
5 stars.
5 stars. Thank you very much. Albert?
Oh, it's a full 5.
A full 5. This podcast deserves 6 stars.
And upcoming guest, news alert, maybe,
Yes.
Joe Ripa.
Oh, Joe Ripa.
By popular demand.
You know,
Speaking of South Jersey.
you know what's great? What's great is we'll do it with my dad, but trust me, we'll hear my mother's mouth in the background.
I can't
My
wait.
mother will be disputing
This
things.
is what people said they wanted to hear. We're going to bring it to our fans.
Oh, we're definitely doing
can't
it.
wait.
Maybe, hopefully, my Uncle Romeo will be there with them because essentially they're like the new Janet, Jack, and Chrissy. So, I mean, it's so bizarre. It's like my dad, my Uncle Romeo, and my mom are living next door to each other in like side by side 1-bedroom condos at the Jersey Shore.
You need to be downstairs in one of your ropers. There you are.
My dad's always like, he's like, why don't you come see us at the Jersey Shore? And I'm like, sure, you tell me when's good for you. When's good?
wanna
And,
go.
you know, I'll come. I'll get a hotel. They're like, you don't need a hotel. You'll stay with us. And I'm like, where?
Oh, no.
We have a Murphy bed. I'm like, no, Dad. I'm
I
an
wanna go
established
with you.
person.
Can we go, please?
Yeah, we'll go.
We'll stay at a hotel.
Yeah.
I would die.
I'm just going to say, bye, everyone. Can't wait to talk off next week. Cue myself.
Cue
Hear yourself, Jan.
Let's Talk Off Camera with Kelly Ripa is a production of Melojo Productions with help from Goat Rodeo. Our theme song is Follow Me from APM Music. From Melojo, our team is Kelly Ripa, Mark Consuelos, Albert Bianchini, Jan Chalet, Devin Schneider, Michael Halpern, Jacob Small, Roz Therian, Seth Gronquist, and Julia Desch. From Goat Rodeo, our team is Kara Schillen, Megan Nadolski, Max Johnston, Isabel Kirby McGowan, and Rebecca Seidel. Additional sound design by Terrence Bernardo. This show is powered by Stitcher.